Welcome back to another episode of City Speak. I'm your host, Clarence Anthony, CEO and Executive Director of the National League of Cities. City Speaks gives listeners an insider's view of what local leadership in America means today and features conversations with government leaders and policy experts regarding the biggest issues and challenges facing cities, towns, and villages. So I am so excited and thrilled to be in the City Hall in Salt Lake City, where NLC is hosting its City Summit starting in a couple of days. But I'm more excited about having this opportunity to talk with a dynamic leader in this great city of Salt Lake, and that is Mayor Erin Mendenhall. Mayor, welcome to City Speak.
Welcome to Salt Lake City, Clarence. We are more excited that you are here, and we're ready to entice you with all of the surprising things that Salt Lake City is about to be known for with all the other mayors and council people who are arriving here. We're so happy you're here.
Well, thank you. And I have been here for a couple of days, and I want to talk to you about what I've been doing in a minute. But I do want my listeners to learn a little bit about you and your journey to being the mayor. You're a community organizer, and you began your public service while you were elected to city council in 2013. And you've served as the mayor, proudly served since 2020. And I have to tell you, I've been here 10 years ago, and now I'm here today. And I can see the work in infrastructure, resiliency. Transit is a big thing, and I've watched what Salt Lake has done in that area. And oftentimes people ask us, why do we choose certain cities? And I can tell you it's because the 3,000 guests that are coming here, municipal officials from all over the country, they want to see the things you're doing, how you are approaching, attacking issues, transportation, housing, infrastructure. And this is a great place to see it. So, again, welcome to City Speak.
Thank you. It's a great time to be a mayor, I think. It's a hard time, too. 2020 wasn't the easiest year to step into any elected role. But this is probably the most exciting time in our city's history, at least in the lifetime of anybody who's around right now. So I feel incredibly privileged to get to be the mayor right now. And sometimes that's how I characterize it. I'm Erin at a meeting. I get to be the mayor right now. And it just feels really like more of an honor than a job most of the time.
Well, when you and we were talking and you were telling me, I can't wait till you come, and you were giving me all kinds of ideas of what I could do. I will tell you that I've left a lot of money to the local economy. So guess what I've
You're
done?
not done yet, right?
I'm glad the conference is starting because I've spent money on eyewear, a couple of outfits that my team has talked me into buying, ate at some great restaurants. So everything you
Good.
said about Salt Lake is true. But I want to ask you a question. What is your why? Why did you decide to run for public office in 2013? And then I'm going to prepare you. Why did you then say, I want to be mayor after then? But I want to start with what stimulated you to run for office?
I was encouraged. It didn't come from me. As you mentioned, I was a community organizer. I was an activist. And in Salt Lake City, we sit in this beautiful valley between two parallel mountain ranges. The big one to the east is the Wasatch Mountain Range. To the west, we have the Oakers, and those mountain ranges kind of pinch in at the north and south ends, creating this bowl-like valley that we sit in, which makes Salt Lake City spectacular to fly into, a beautiful place to live. You can touch outdoors within 10, 15 minutes of almost anywhere you are. But it also creates this funny, not so funny air quality challenge sometimes in the year. So our bowl shape and the thermal inversions that happen can trap pollution here.
Mm.
That's what compelled me to start getting involved in community organizing. Was I wanted to see more policy, I wanted to see more levels of government talking about and trying to address the health impacts ultimately that come from this pollution bowl that happens sometimes in this beautiful space. So I didn't see myself running for office. I saw myself educating young people, talking to community groups, and trying to get more voices. Eventually, though, I wanted to be inside of the meetings that I had organized protests and community events outside of. I realized, actually, I think our First Amendment rights create a lot of the space and bureaucracy to bring in conversations that weren't invited before. So we'd done a lot of good work. A lot of people in the community were involved in raising the awareness about air quality. And that's really when community leaders started saying to me, hey, there's a community, a city council seat that's opening up. It's the only woman who's been on the council. She's not running again. Can you imagine an all male elected body for Salt Lake City, this blue dot? And of course, I didn't want to love my men folk and our allies as women working in that realm. But I was compelled to run after a bunch of people encouraged me to, after I said no many times. And ultimately, I love people. I like making friends at the grocery store, at my kids' school pickup line, at the dog park. And when you run for city council, that's what you're doing. You're trying to be the best neighbor advocate you can be. And you're opening yourself up to understanding more neighbors' challenges and perspectives. And hopefully you're opening yourself up to say, gosh, I was wrong about what I thought about whether or not we should put a bathroom at that park or
Yeah.
whether or not that tax increase should happen. And because you talk to me, I understand more now. And I like that kind of vulnerability most of the time. That's a challenge I think we all get to work with on a daily basis. How comfortable are we with discomfort of serving the public? And turned out I loved the work. And so I served on the city council, ran for a reelect. And in my 6th year on the council, there was a mayor race happening. There were 8 people or so in it. And I was hearing all of them propose ideas that I thought, gosh, I have a really different perspective on how we could do things. And I'm here in City Hall, so I've seen a lot too. And I'm sick of seeing our state honestly take swings at our city and seeing our city turn around and take swings back at our state for the sake of getting a headline and getting a long tail of punishment. So I was the last one into the mayor's race in 2019. I think I raised the least amount of money before the
Wow.
primary, and then the rest is kind of history.
How is it different to be on the outside and now, used to say, you people, and now you feel like sometimes you're on the inside. How has it been in terms of that transition for you as a leader, local leader?
It's about a we approach, and there's no I in we. This office is probably, in my opinion, and I'm biased here, the best role that a Democrat in the state of Utah can be in. We have a supermajority Republican legislature in Utah. We've just been through some serious Utah Supreme Court legislative decisions on the gerrymandering that's happened for our congressional districts. I've got the best job in the state of Utah, and my job is of servant. So I hope that anybody who decides to run for office, no matter what your background is, even if you never thought of that you'd be in elected office, like I never thought I would, that you do it because you just love the people that you are asking to serve, and you love the opportunity to learn from them that you might have been wrong on 100 accounts, and that you get this window of 4 years, maybe 8 years, maybe more, but not a lot of time to make really lasting change in those very neighbors you met at the dog park and you see at the grocery store. That's a serious dose of humility, you know.
Yeah.
And the public, my best learning grounds were community councils. Community councils are never going to mince words with you. If they do, I don't know where you are. You got to call me and tell me what city. They're going to tell you, you are not listening, or you said this, but you did that, or you don't understand what the impacts are. So, anyway, I think being that connected to the people, being at a mayor level or city council level, you can't help but see the connections between what you say and do and how it impacts the people that you are supposed to be serving. You can't get away from that. And I love that about this work.
Yeah, and I think people say it all the time, but it's true when you say that you're the closest to the people that
Yeah.
you're resident. You see them at the malls, you see them downtown at the restaurants. And one of the great things about your leadership here in Salt Lake City, and I've seen it when I walk around and I say I'm a guest of the mayor, they say, "Oh, Erin," and I'm like, I jump. I mean, because
They're probably like, I'm
oftentimes
going to text her right
I
now because I
know,
have her
I
phone
know
number.
that is so cool though, because sometimes happen to be a former mayor. We sometimes think that's our title for life,
Uh,
and you're blessed to be in this space now. But one day you're not, and you're going to
yeah.
be Aaron. And I love that about you.
Well, Clarence, I think you've known more mayors than I ever will. But I thought it was not necessarily a strength that I wasn't my job. I know I'm not my job. And I think there's an archetype of mayors, from Mayor Quimby on The Simpsons to the
Yes.
mayor of Whoville. You can tell I have kids. Pinkalicious, the mayor's a key role. I mean, mayors, there's an archetype from
Yeah.
the time we're little kids watching shows through all of American politics of what mayors are like.
Yeah.
And for some of us, I know I'm not my job. I'm Erin, and you get this title in front of your name for a while, but you know, we're community servants here.
I agree. Now, I talked a little bit about the things that you were sharing with me before I came here about Salt Lake City. And I want you to talk a little bit about what's really going on in the city, because there's a lot going on. And I can see the transformation that's happening in Salt Lake City. So we're going to have this become a national place where local leaders are coming from all over America. Tell me about what is happening here that's so amazing.
I think that Salt Lake City had our, for lack of a better term, coming out party in 2002 with the Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. That was the city's first global view, where the world focused in on what is this place? Who are these people? And it changed us. It changed our city and our state largely for the better. And I'll give you a quick example. More than 80% of Utahns have been in support of hosting a future Olympic and Paralympic Games since 2002, every single year. It changed how we think about ourselves in a global context, and we grew a lot. We kind of capped out with downtown growth, residential growth, and we didn't see a lot of population growth across the city compared to any other part of the state for quite some time. Fast forward to the last six years or so since the pandemic, Salt Lake City has more than doubled our downtown residential population. We secured a National Hockey League team, the Utah Mammoth, who are now in their second season. We locked in the Utah Jazz, who were looking at moving out of the city to sort of the clean slate suburb new district approach. And we were able to stop that ship from leaving and lock both of these teams in. We also locked in the potential for Major League Baseball to come to Salt Lake City between downtown and the airport at what we're calling the Power District. And that's a transformation of Rocky Mountain Power. Our power providers had a 90-acre campus for 100 years. They realized they don't need all that land and they don't need to be that close to downtown for it. So now they're in agreement for future Major League Ballpark, and the financial agreements are basically in place for that. We're growing in a big way, and we had the strongest downtown economic recovery in the nation coming out of the pandemic. So when I say this is a great time to be the mayor, this is a great time to be the mayor of Salt Lake City. And it meant saying, yes, let's find a way to yes on some things that required a great deal of compromise. I think that's the moment of mayors making decisions. Do we want to stay at the table or do we want to flip it over and walk away angry?
Yes.
And I've made a commitment to just stay at every table. I think for other cities who are in a politically contrasting city-state relationship, you know that if you're not at the table, you're on the table, you're on the menu. That's
Yes.
right. So we've tried to stay at the table, and it's ended up resulting in a lot of growth. So our 3,000 guests for the City Summit are going to come into a brand new airport, opened late 2020, early 21. Salt Lake City International, and the city is really proud of that and its proximity to downtown and the residents that are booming in the downtown core, and all the entertainment options that we hope are going to surprise and delight the guests.
So you had the Paralympics in 2002, and now you're hosting in 2034 the Olympics again. Tell me what goes into getting prepared for such events, and do you see an additional transformational because of your getting prepared for 2034?
I think there's something globally unique about Salt Lakers and Utahns related to the games, and that is we have every piece of the infrastructure already in place. We could host the games tomorrow. It's literally true. So if you go to the Delta Center to see the Jazz or the Mammoth play while you're here for City Summit or any other time of year, we're going to be hosting Olympic events in that stadium. The ice oval out in Kearns is there. The ski facilities up in Park City, which we're having some field trips to at the City Summit. Everything's there. And you're going to be able to see Olympians, Paralympians training and teaching our youth 365 days a year. So the Olympics are built into our culture. That makes us a very unique host for the games because we're already ready to go. Where the conflict in so many other cities who are looking at bidding, and I was really lucky to be a part of our bid process over the last 6 years, are having to talk about how they're going to get the money, where they're going to build, and how are they going to be able to fit the right facilities into close enough proximity that the world wants to come and check out both skating and skiing, within a reasonable travel time. We're all with everything in our vicinity is within 60 minutes of the downtown core. So we're a really unique place in the world. And we hope I'll say this bold statement, I hope the Olympics and Paralympics keep coming back here and we become a perpetual host. And I think looking at the model of the Olympic and Paralympic Games, that really could happen into the future.
Well, it is beautiful. And one of the things that, being a Florida guy and then coming out to the mountains and the outdoors, it's a big part of being a Salt Laker in terms of the lifestyle. And the mountains for me is so they're so beautiful because when you're in the beach area, everybody don't get a chance to see the beach every day. the few days I've been here, I wake up and there are the mountains, and it just feels so refreshing and so vibracious to be able to do it. I also see bikers and farmers markets around town, and I just want to ask you a little bit about how important are those types of amenities, and to the recruitment of businesses and recruitment of people wanting to enjoy that lifestyle.
That's the quality of life. I mean, when I go to another city, I want to go to their farmer's market. And it's not that I can't get honey and carrots in my city, it's that I get to meet the people whose livelihood is depending on sustaining their neighbors and showing up. These are businesses that scale up in our city. Restaurants you're going to go to, many of them probably got their start at our farmers market. We have actually one of the best farmers markets in the country, and you should check out the winter market while you're here. But this is the
I
bread and
got to
butter.
work at least
I
one
don't know,
day.
Clarence. I think
What?
we can clear some of your schedule so you can keep spending some money
Okay, all
and
right.
generate some tax revenue while
I
you're
have to. I already dropped my dollars already here.
Oh, we're not done. The Olympics are an amazing thing, but the best thing about the Olympics, hands down, is everything that it is to the people today and after the Olympics. This has got to be an impact that
Yeah.
lasts every single day. So, farmers markets, helping small businesses to scale, putting transit into communities that never had a bus route before, getting free transit ridership, building bike lanes, getting e-bikes into the hands of families who couldn't afford one before. I mean, that's what builds community. And I dare say that these shared amenities like libraries and markets, farmers markets, buses, parks, that's how we save democracy.
Hmm.
When we share more things on a regular basis, when I see you at that dog park twice a week, man, I'm going to care more about what is impacting your life than if I'm isolated in my big, acre of a house and I don't ever have to get out and everything gets delivered. So we're not just building livability and fun and good food. We're building like the fabric that sustains a community through hard times. And we've seen a lot of hard times in the last
Yeah.
5 or 6 years. And I'm sad to say I think there's more coming.
No, and I think we're going to see our attendees are going to see, especially, I'm always proud of the transportation systems that you have put together in Salt Lake.
Thanks.
Years ago, I took the train from the airport all the way down into downtown, and what I saw just fascinated me as an urban planner. It stopped and it picked up residents along the way, and that connected to job opportunities in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and opportunities to be able to not just be in their neighborhood, but to be connected to downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And then my staff doesn't like this, but yesterday I was on the bikes.
I'm sure you
And
had a helmet on.
look, I did not have a helmet on, and it's a story. So I don't know. I'm going to do it again.
Did you use the green bike rental?
I did. I
Oh, that's
did.
great.
It was so much fun. And then it started raining. My hair started getting wet. Was the whole story. But anyway, let me ask you about an issue that every city leader is dealing with right now, and that's housing supply.
Yeah.
And it's an issue not just on the affordability side, but just access to quality
Mm-hmm.
housing. How are you dealing with that issue here in Salt Lake to make sure that, like the transit system, everybody has access to that transit system from the airport to downtown? How does everyone get that opportunity around housing?
Let me start by saying that our transit system is growing and we're investing directly in our transit provider, who is a separate entity, to increase the frequency of our routes. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we put the money together coupled with our school district's foundation and the transit provider, to put free bus and transit passes into the hands of every single K through 12 student in Salt Lake City. And now it's been expanded to one parent for each student household, all of the administrators and teachers for the entire district. So in Utah, about 20% of a household income is going to transportation costs. So when we make it easier for those 22,000 students in our school district or so to get to clubs and camps and do team and stay after for support if they need it, and get across town, because that's the way our school district is divided, is a crosstown system. We're making it easier for parents to secure their employment, to literally afford getting around town. So that's a big deal of affordability. And we talk about housing affordability when really I think we could talk about affordability as a topic in and of itself that has a major facet around transportation, which of course plays into housing affordability thereafter. If you got more money freed up from getting your family to and from, you're more stable for your rent. Second thing is Utah has a housing crisis across the entire state. In Salt Lake City in particular, we just recently switched from being a majority home ownership population to a majority renter population. So more than 50%, and more than 50% of our renters are not stable in their housing, which means they're spending more than 30% of their income on their rent costs. So if we've got a job loss, a breakup, a health crisis, whatever, half of our renters may not be able to make that payment. And so we take this extremely seriously. I want to, in trying to be brief about this, any fellow city lovers out there, I encourage you to go check out the city's gentrification mitigation plan, which we call Thriving in Place, SLC. And there's 16 very explicit strategies that we have taken on to try to stabilize existing affordability, help residents, renter residents or otherwise, or ownership residents whose housing is becoming compromised, to be able to have funding to find new housing and have an assistant in doing that, and then to create and generate more. So one of the biggest things I'm proud of is the $10 million of our ARPA funding that we invested to create a perpetual housing fund, which means wealth building.
Wow.
Wealth building for ownership and wealth building through renters. And we just opened our first building a couple of weeks ago, close to our downtown, a retrofit of an old office building
Wow.
into family-sized wealth-generating housing. And there's a lot more to come.
Wow, that is amazing. As a matter of fact, you're going to be talking about housing
That's
on
right.
a panel at City Summit on Saturday, I think. And
Yes.
we're going to make sure that place is full, because this is this is the major problem for city leaders all over the country. And we know it's going to take a federal, state, and local partnership to really address the shortage of housing in America, so that everyone can feel that when they drive into Salt Lake in their neighborhood, that this is my home. It's not just an apartment. It is a place I can raise my kids. I can take them to the park next door. It is the way in which I start my wealth journey in America, in this great country. So
That's generational.
it is.
I want to throw in one more piece that I think relates to other cities, and that's geographic inequity in access to housing choices. And Salt Lake City is not unique in that the historic red line neighborhoods of our city are absolutely still reflective of a great number of factors that you could say this is a disadvantaged community based on where they live. So we're investing higher amounts of savings, so better interest rates, access to more money of city dollars for developers who are building in high opportunity areas as defined by HUD. We want to see these developments stop being ultra concentrated in historically redlined areas and expand housing options geographically too, because then you're tapping into leverage points that you don't even have to invest in because they're already there. That's setting your families up for more generational success and stability just because of where that housing is.
Mayor, when you were talking to me, you shared things about Salt Lake City that I said, aha, I didn't know that. Um, what do you think people will be surprised about Salt Lake City once they get here and as they leave?
I appreciate the question because I think there may be some assumptions, maybe a little stereotypes out there. So I'll tell you that although our municipal elections are nonpartisan, kind of everybody knows what your party is anyway. And we have been a Democrat led city since the 70s. And basically, our city council has been majority or completely Democrat since the 70s. We have a majority one female, majority LGBTQ plus, and the most diverse council in our city's history right now, and taking office in January with some newly elected. So that's fantastic. I'm the third female mayor out of 36 in the city's history. We have the headquarters of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the downtown of Salt Lake City. Our grid system, our addresses are based off of Temple Square as point zero. So you could think about that when you come to town. But we have a minority population in Salt Lake City of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So we are not a majority Mormon city, even though I think it may be understood otherwise in other parts of the country. You can drink alcohol in Salt Lake City.
Oh, really?
Yes, there used to be a thing called the Zion Curtain where they couldn't pour your drink in front of you unless you were in a bar, which you had to get a club license
Membership.
or
I
a
remember
membership
that.
for. You remember that?
Yeah.
Thank heavens that is no longer. The Zion Curtain is no longer. But you still need to go to a liquor store to buy a bottle of wine or a bottle of liquor. And there's a really beautiful new one downtown in case anybody's staying downtown. 5 Point beer and below you can get anywhere. But did you know that we have a pretty incredible artisan beer scene? So
Really?
yes, great beer in Salt Lake and in Utah. And my favorite whiskey is made here. It's called High West. And when you go up to Summit County, you can go right there on Main Street in Park City to High West Distillery, or in Wanship, Utah, where their main distillery is, and have a great tasting. Please check out some of our beer. It's wonderful.
Okay.
Even if you're at a restaurant, ask what's local on tap.
All right.
We have had the highest LGBTQ plus per capita in the nation at some points in the last decade or so. We have received a perfect 100 score as a city from the Human Rights Campaign. Nationally, we're just about to announce our next perfect 100. So we have one of the best pride events in the nation in terms of size per capita. It's a great pride event too. So these are some of the things I hope are delightful surprises to you about maybe what Salt Lake City is versus what some of the stereotypes look like.
Well, that's why I said before, I think our attendees are going to be pleasantly surprised at the leadership and the transformation. But I do think, and I'd say it on your behalf, if I was anybody that wasn't at the conference, this would be a place that I would want to visit.
As a Delta hub,
As a Delta hub, it's easy.
It's so easy to get here. And with all of our sports events, we got 11 ski resorts within an hour of downtown. Like, there's no reason not to come here. Any time of year, you're going to have a good time.
I agree. And a lot of our attendees, even our president, Mayor Steve Patterson, he is extending his stay to here in Salt Lake City. So I'm excited, and because I think a lot of our attendees will.
We're going to try to get you all some snow up in the mountains while you're here. So Clarence, we'll go sledding at some point.
Oh man, I'm a Florida guy. I don't know about that. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to City Speak with Clarence Anthony. If you like this show, let us know. Share this episode with your friends and make sure to subscribe. We're curious to hear what you think, what you want more of, and how we can improve. If you have feedback or an idea for a guest you'd like Clarence to sit down with, send us your thoughts at cityspeakpodcast@nlc.org. Join us next month for a new episode. Like and subscribe here or wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time.